Viewer discretion is advised.
Boom, perfect timing.
"18-year-old Logan Davis had just got off from work at Firehouse Subs. Davis stood outside in his work uniform, waiting for a ride home. While waiting outside, Officer Jeremy Walleman of the Sterling Heights Police Department arrived on scene. Davis would give the officer his name and a reason for being there. He explained to the officer that he had just finished work while still in uniform and was waiting for his ride home. But the officer persisted in trying to make Davis show ID after Davis refused. In the dashcam footage, you see the officer slamming Davis to the ground, placing him in a chokehold, placing his forearm and elbow in his throat, and finally placing Davis under arrest. During my investigation, I was able to get in contact with David Robinson. He's the attorney representing Logan Davis in the lawsuit. He agreed to an interview and gave a lot of insight into the backstory of this incident.
David Robinson, been an attorney for about 35 years, former police officer with the city of Detroit, did it for about 13 years. I represented police officers, defending them when I was a cop with the city. Taught the police officers in the academy. I am a board member of the National Police Accountability Project. I ran the gamut of what it is that a lawyer does in police misconduct. And I did write a book too. Logan was in his senior year of high school. He worked at Firehouse Subs in city of Sterling Heights. He'd gotten off of work. It was about 9:40 in the evening, and it was raining. And so he went 2 doors down to where there was an awning, to wait. He had called his father to come pick him up from work. He and his father lived in Sterling Heights for a number of years. Well, as he was waiting there under the awning out of the rain, the police officer, apparently on patrol, and from a distance saw him. Didn't surveil him for long. Made a U-turn, pulled up in the parking lot, and accosted him on the basis of the stores were closed. All right. It was on that basis alone that this officer felt that he had some sort of legal right or responsibility to investigate Logan. And so Logan, being the astute young man that he is, with good parents and good upbringing, tendered his first name, to the officer in response to the officer's request, "What is your name?" I don't even think it was obligated to do that, frankly. And the officer, of course, went into a contempt of cop mode, or contempt by cop mode, and demanded his identification, and then went into the excuse mode of, "You're resisting arrest because I'm trying to arrest you because you won't give me your name."
Absolutely.
Do you have the paper that says that?
There's a city ordinance that says you will. Actually, I'm dispatch. I'll be out with the subject in front of Dicky's Barbecue, Van Dyke to 16. So, hey, I'm telling you right now, when I request that you identify yourself, I have a lawful reason to stop you. You have to identify yourself. Because you're standing in front of a closed business and you're loitering.
How am I loitering? I just got off loitering.
How am I supposed to verify that, brother? Okay, well now let me see your ID.
You don't need my ID.
Okay, I'm telling you I want your ID.
You don't need it, though.
Well, turn around, put your hands behind your back, because you're not identifying yourself. Turn around.
That's illegal.
No, it's not. Turn around.
That's illegal.
Turn around, put your hands behind your back. Turn around, put your hand behind your back. Now you're resisting arrest.
And that is illegal.
Put your hand behind your back.
What is the reason?
Put your hand behind. Because I want your ID.
Well, okay. So now let's talk about the constitutional rights that Logan has and what constitutionally is required of any police officer under those circumstances. Under a seminal case of Terry versus Ohio, it's been around for a long, long time. If a police officer has reasonable suspicion that a crime had been committed, is being committed, or about to be committed, then a police officer has a right to stop and frisk an individual. Now, the rub in that whole thing is that the police officer cannot make up any sort of crime. He's got to be able to articulate that there was a crime committed, had been committed, being committed, or about to be committed. Those three things. Well, there was no police run to the scene. Some citizens saying there's a suspicious character out in front of Firehouse Subs.
So no one had called. No one had called, is what you're saying.
No one called, right. And in the report that the officer wrote after the fact, again, he does not articulate anything other than the fact that the businesses are closed. Well, that isn't a sufficient reason that invokes Terry versus Ohio, because a police officer has to be justified in any interaction that he or she takes with a citizen. It has to be legally justified. So there has to be a lawful reason, for any engagement or any action between the police and a citizen. Okay, and then the police officer has to be able to articulate exactly what that justification is. So that was lacking.
Hey, put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. What is your name? What is your name? Put your hands behind your back. Put your hand behind your back. Put your hands. It's Officer Walleman. Put your hand behind your back. Put your hands. I'm asking for your ID. That's all you had to do.
You don't need it.
Yes, I do.
Hands off of my phone, sir.
Put your hands behind your back.
Sir.
Put your Put your hands behind your back.
Officer.
Put your hands behind your back.
Do not need my ID.
I asked you for your ID.
You have no lawful reason.
Yes, I do.
No lawful reason to arrest
Put your hands behind your
me.
back.
You have no lawful reason to arrest me.
Yes, I do.
No, you do not. No, you do not.
Yes, I do.
You leave or not.
All you had to do was identify yourself. That's
I
it.
just got off the
And I asked you for your last name.
You do not need it. There is no reason. There is no reason for you to be doing this.
Put your hands behind your back.
For you to be doing this. I'm not able to arrest you. Do not have an opportunity to arrest you. I'm not needing it.
That's all you had to do.
Get your hand out.
Get your hand out. I told you to just give me your ID. That's all you had to do.
You do not need my ID. Get your hand out. You have no reason. You have no reason. I just got off of work.
That's all I asked.
This is a stop. This is a stop. No, you do not have a reason.
You do not have your ID.
So he winds up arresting Logan, not listening to Logan's statement to him that my dad is on the way to come pick me up. Ignoring all of that, cop calling for assistance. The cops come. Logan is recording with his phone. Okay, this police officer, as soon as the cop pulls up. Why does he doing that? Because of all the assaults and murders that occurred with African-American young men and women at the hands of these marauding police officers. So now break it down for a second here now, okay? It's like, what could the cop have done differently that, would have resolved this situation without resorting to, this cop being contemptuous of this young black man that was, challenging his so-called authority? Well, number one, the cop is trying to make the reasoning that he thought, because the businesses were closed and it's dark outside, that Logan must be up to something. Okay, there wasn't any sign or symptom other than what was in the imagination of this white police officer, to want to investigate this young black man simply because, he essentially is a black man in front of a closed store at night, 9:40 at night. And that's all it took. Then why would, if Logan is about to commit a crime, why would he be recording the police officer? So this is stuff that just doesn't compute to this cop at the time. Number two, Logan says, I'm waiting on my dad. So it doesn't compute to the cop. Okay, well, let me give some credence to that. Let me wait a couple of minutes, because guess what? His dad showed up. So this was no more than a case of waiting for your dad to pick you up from work while black. That's the bottom line.
Reason to do this. I am recording you.
That's fine. That's fine. All you had to do was give me your ID.
Stand up.
That's it.
You do not need my ID.
That's all you had to do.
My property is right there.
That's fine.
You do not need my ID. There's no reason
Over
for you
here.
to handcuff me and arrest me. This is unlawful.
Okay. Here's what I tried to explain to you. All you had to do was show me your ID.
You had no reason to stop me. I was not doing anything wrong.
You were standing in front of a closed business,
That I just
and
got
I
off
stopped
that
to
I
investigate you, and I asked you for your
You
ID.
do not need my ID.
Didn't have to go this way, bro.
You didn't have.
It didn't have to go this way. All you had to do was give me your ID. That's it. That's all you had to do.
You did not need my ID. There's no reason for you to get my ID.
Didn't have to go this way. All you had to do was give me your ID.
You did not need my ID. Where's my phone?
Did you get that back?
Where's my phone?
No, I didn't. I got this one, yeah.
Anything else on your boat?
About 10 minutes, my dad would have been here. I would have been there.
Yep, and all you had to do was give me your ID, and I would have been gone too.
Did we
And you would've
double
gone-
lock him?
I didn't do it.
Why am I being arrested? Where's my property?
For disorderly conduct.
What disorderly conduct did I
Yep.
do?
Because I asked you for your ID and you didn't provide
You
it.
did not need my ID.
Have a seat.
You did not need my ID.
It didn't have to go this way, bro.
You did not need my ID. I just told you I got off.
Put your knees in.
I just told you. Where's my phone?
So he's here at Dickie's, right? All these businesses are closed. I go up to him. I'm like, hey man, what's going on? Oh, I just got off firework at Firehouse. Okay, you got ID? I just want to write your name down. You don't need my ID. Starts fucking getting into my shit. I'm like, bro, you give me your ID and I'm on my way. Won't give me his ID. I'm like, all right, we'll turn on. You're under arrest. Man, it was fucking on.
Okay. Yeah, at least loitering at the bus.
Yeah.
To start out with.
So let the puppy get a second exam.
Well, dude, fucking. If I had a door popper, you probably would have. Yeah. He's halfway through the front thing. Jesus, dude. Like, all I just needed was his ID and I would have been on my way. That's all I needed.
Did he actually work here or no? Did you check?
Yeah, well, then he's like, after that, he's like, he's showing me his shirt.
Well, you don't get to start fighting and then decide. What's he saying he works there?
Firehouse. But I don't know that. All these businesses are closed.
Yeah, absolutely.
He didn't want to give me his ID. Identify himself.
Very good.
Yeah. Didn't have to go this way.
Oh, I'm just glad you're good. That's friggin' matters. more
He's a
than
big
anything
kid.
else. Yeah, he's a hefty dude, so. Cool.
Yeah, your son.
What for?
Because he was standing over here.
He worked right
Well,
here.
listen. I'll explain it to you. Okay? So all these businesses are closed.
Right.
Listen. Okay? So I see him standing over here at all these closed businesses. So I pull up and I want to talk to him just to make sure he's good to go. All right? And I say, hey man, that's okay. That's cool. I just need your ID so I can write your name down that I talk to you. And then he starts getting
Why you
ballistic
need to talk to him?
because all these businesses are closed, sir.
He works right here.
I didn't know that.
Okay, so why is he arrested?
Because he fought with me when I tried to get his ID
What do you
from
mean
him.
he fought with you?
So you can pick him up from our station.
What do you mean he fought with you?
He fought with
He
me.
resisted?
Yeah. Yep.
What?
Because
Okay,
I all
first of all-
listen. No, sir.
No, ain't no listen. Listen. All I'm saying is he works right here.
I understand.
Why would y'all arrest him if he works right here? Why would you approach him?
Because I didn't know that. How do I know that he works there? How do I know that?
Okay, so he just
So listen.
you just walking around.
Let me.
You know what? And the bad part about it, I said, you know what? We've been living out here 17 years. Never had problem with Sterling Heights Police.
Right.
Sterling Heights Police pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then we go through this crap.
Well, let me explain something to you.
Because
no,
he's young.
no, let me
because
talk.
he's a young guy,
No, let me talk
because
to you.
he's a young
No,
guy,
let me
right?
talk. Let me talk. Okay? Here's the deal. Okay? If your business was right here and your business was closed, and somebody
can't call me to
listen,
come pick him up.
if your business was closed, would you want me to stop and talk to him just to see what was going on?
No, because
Okay.
he's a person.
I see what's going on.
If
All
he was
right,
white,
take it.
he'd do it.
Absolutely, 150%.
Where you taking?
Sterling Heights Police Department. Yeah. So he's standing here. All these businesses are closed. So I drive by.
Where's this guy's business? All the way
That's
down there?
No. So He's standing over here. All these businesses are closed, every single one.
Yeah.
So I go, hey man, what's going on? He's like, oh, I work at Firehouse. I'm like, oh, okay. You just waiting for your dad or something? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, I just need your ID so I can get out of here. I identified you and I can send you on your way. I'm not giving you my ID. And it was on from there. All right. Fair enough. So, I didn't know he fucking worked there.
Yeah, other than him saying, oh no, I work here.
Yeah, for sure.
He didn't identify you. He didn't be like, hey, show you a shirt or nothing. Just
No, just wouldn't even show me his ID. That's all he had to do. Fair enough. So.
And then they wrote him a ticket, arrested him for loitering and for resisting and obstructing a police officer in the performance of his duty. Those are all those catch-alls and fallback positions of police officers they pull out of their, hat every time they need an excuse after arresting somebody. All right, so all of that stuff got dismissed. Mom and dad met with the chief of police. Everything was dismissed. Now, the interesting thing is that they knew they were wrong because on the order of stipulating to return his property and dismiss all the charges, they include a paragraph that, oh yeah, by signing this, you waive your right to sue us. Well, again, Logan and his mom and dad are astute enough to say, I'm not signing that. So, of course, scratched it out.
Davis was charged with loitering and resisting arrest. In the aftermath of the arrest, Logan Davis was released on bond while an investigation began. Upon review, it was determined Davis was an employee of another business located at the other end of the plaza. Upon that discovery, Police Chief Dale Dajigowski recommended all charges be dropped. The officer involved, Jeremy Walleman, was disciplined for failure to use his microphone at the beginning of the encounter and was ordered to complete de-escalation training. The family of Logan Davis filed a lawsuit against the department and the officer involved in federal court. The family alleges racial bias playing a factor in Davis's unlawful arrest. Quote, individual defendant subsequently placed plaintiff under arrest, slammed plaintiff to the ground, placed plaintiff in a chokehold, and placed his forearm and elbow on plaintiff's throat, all of which constituted illegal and excessive force and was based on plaintiff's race. On April 18, 2022, I gave David Robinson a call and asked him about any updates on the case. As of March 31, 2022, the courts have sided with Logan Davis on the violation of Davis's 4th and 14th Amendment rights and on the claims for excessive force and discriminatory treatment. According to David Robinson, in his experience, it is most likely that Jeremy Walleman's defense team will appeal the decision.
Police officers should not act like German Shepherds. Walleman admits that he was some distance from Logan Davis. He had every opportunity, if he thought that it was 9:40 at night and it was dark and Logan was some sort of lookout, to surveil Logan Davis and wait until Logan Davis actually had done something, that he could articulate to give him the justification to investigate. He had at his utility his radio where, he could have called for other officers who would have arrived. Sterling Heights is not a big city, would have arrived within seconds, had something actually been occurring. And had he have waited, what would he have seen? He would have seen his father pull up, him get in the car, windows still intact, businesses still intact, okay? So there was every opportunity to have avoided this situation. The police officers want to put the blame on Logan. They always want to put the blame. If he had only submitted, if he had only have given me his name, if he had only, well, he didn't have to. The law doesn't require that. And a police officer has to know that, okay? So don't blame Logan. Blame yourself for not exercising, the discretion, for acting like a German Shepherd.